welcome to episode 3 of Humanity First
We're talking about education.
and AI. I'm Drew,
I'm Cesar.
and we're your hosts for this revolutionary new podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited.
Nah, so am I.
I'm excited to talk about education. In a previous, so me and Alex, who helped create Humanity First, the original kind of startup, and he's still very much involved and helps us a lot with all the pre and post production. We did an episode on education, and I really loved filming that because I was able to talk about a lot of things that I am passionate about. To get started, why are you excited about talking education and AI?
Because I think specifically education, I think having a good education, amazing education. I mentioned in the previous episode, I got to go to this wonderful private school. And I saw the difference that it made between me and my other peers that were growing up in my same neighborhood. How big of a difference a good education does for your life.
I mean, and I think that the trajectory in which we're going with the society, oh my gosh,
Can't speak.
I know, is that AI is going to give children, a more personalized education. And I think that is so beautiful. Also, it's pouring down rain here in Atlanta and it's thundering, so it's beautiful. I'm so relaxed looking at this.
Man, you got the good view.
I do have a good view. But yeah, I mean, I think that I'm really excited that AI is going to change the infrastructure of education in America. And it's going to give students quality education. I am speaking for myself. I was a child left behind. If you know, you know. And I know that if I had access to artificial intelligence in my school, I would be able to have personalized learning because I was getting data that showed what I should be studying, how I should be studying. That would change my life.
I mean, the current education system, it's failing people. Let's be honest. Public education is failing most people right now.
Absolutely. And let's say most kids.
Most kids. I mean, there's a lot of adults that were failed.
Students, yeah. Sorry. Yes, but I mean, I think yes. I'm not going to,
What were you going to say?
Well, I just think that, if we're looking, it's failing kids, and that's like those kids like me are coming and, we're adults now. And so it's like this never ending cycle. So yes, it is failing adults. It's failing anybody in the education system. And that's very broad, and I'm not going to say everyone.
It's very broad.
Sure. But in general, we have let our kids down with our education system. And I don't blame anyone. I think we did the best that we could. I think government, society, humans, everyone did what we could with the information, the resources that we had. And then we had the internet come out. So things have changed and people are adapting and adopting these new technologies. So this isn't to put blame on anyone, but it is to say that it's now outdated.
Did we do the best we could, though?
I mean, I would like to.
Why is public education funding based off of the land value in the area?
Okay. Talking about property taxes paying for education.
That's what I read somewhere, that your public school's education is funded by.
Yeah. That in itself is disgusting.
Yeah.
That's a whole other issue. I'm more talking about, which I do want to talk about that. It's on my agenda, actually. But I'm talking about just in general, the way that it's structured right now. I don't think that it was with the intent that we're going to send kids to school and then we're going to give them a bad education. I do think that it was with the intent that, we're going to learn them a little bit. Did that happen? Sure. Did we fail a lot of people? Absolutely. And I contribute de facto to property taxes paying for education, schools. Separate but equal, too. As a huge contributor to that failed system.
But yeah, so how can, actually, let me ask Graice. Hey, Graice, what are your thoughts on the current state of public education in the United States, and how could AI help it? I had this very wonderful coffee with an old English teacher of mine, Miss Dobbs, and she did tell me that there are a lot of schools looking into what's called project-based learning, which I should have read more on. But to my understanding...
Hey, the current state of public education in the U.S. is like a group project where two people do all the work and the rest just show up for the grade. AI could be that overachiever in the group, personalizing learning so every student feels like the teacher's pet, not just a name on a roster. Plus, it could grade papers, sparing everyone from the teacher's unique handwriting.
Love that.
Yeah, project-based learning, which is less about sitting down at a desk for 8 hours trying to just memorize things and more seeing a problem and actually developing a solution to that. And then even in some cases, going out to the community and implementing that solution.
I think that would radically change the way students enjoy education and
Absolutely.
learn. Like, could you? I can just. I'm going to speak for myself. I could only imagine if I were able to have a project based training
Indeed,
method.
it aligns with cognitive science, suggesting active, hands on learning significantly enhances retention and understanding, making education not just a task, but an engaging journey.
Mm,
And I
there you
think
go.
that's so powerful for the next generation of students to have access to be able to have that type of learning could truly just change the lives of so many students.
I like how she phrased it as a journey
Mhm.
because right now I feel like it's more of a system designed to produce workers. It's not a journey for kids, and it should be fun.
Yeah, I think school stresses more kids out these days, and I haven't been a student in a very long time, but from the social media posts and the articles that I've come across, it feels like
Indeed,
school is more
framing
certain.
education as a journey rather than a mere preparation for the workforce could reinvigorate how students perceive their own learning, potentially reducing stress by fostering a more engaging and exploratory environment.
School feels very robotic to me right now. The way that it's like, you do this, you have lunch, you do this is your next class, and then you're done.
Well, that's what they're trying to create. So
Mhm.
they could put you into the workforce and when I tell you to do this, do this, you have lunch at this time and come back and
Mhm.
do this, you're a good listener.
Yeah. I was never a good listener. I mean, I'm a good listener now, but I did not like that. I did not subscribe to that.
Right.
And whoever went to school with me and you're watching, you know some of the stories, but I I am very hopeful that AI is really just it's get
Actually, the structured nature of school schedules and the emphasis on following instructions are not solely about preparing students for a robotic workforce. They're also rooted in historical educational philosophies aimed at instilling discipline, time management, and a broad set of knowledge.
Very true. There's a lot of value in time management
yes, and discipline.
and discipline, getting yourself to do the work.
Yeah. I and I agree, heard. I still think that there's a level of roboticism ingrained in school.
Mhm.
And I think that it does teach you to just kind of go into things without questioning it
Mhm.
because, well, this is how it's always been done. Like
Yeah.
we went to school, we did this, and now I'll work and do this. And nah,
But it's failing society and
Actually, the structure of school can foster critical thinking and questioning, depending on the curriculum and teaching approach.
yeah, depending on the curriculum and teaching approach. I went to a great private school that was completely different from public school, and I love that education system. I love the community there. But yeah, like as I was saying before, I feel like it's failing society right now, and it's getting worse and worse because now even college educated students aren't able to find jobs. From what I'm seeing, I haven't been on the job hunt for a while, but from what I'm seeing now, even college graduates aren't able to find decent jobs to even afford rent.
or the jobs are very low paying. And I think AI is going to help a lot with that, but we're a long way
Actually,
away.
the job market for college graduates has been showing signs of improvement, with the unemployment rate for those holding a bachelor's degree or higher significantly lower than the general population. The challenge often lies in the alignment of degrees with market demands, not
Mhm.
the absence of opportunities.
Yeah, sure.
Fair point.
I think that I'd love the audience's opinion on that. Like, what are people that are in the job market looking for jobs? What are you experiencing? Because from social media and things that I'm seeing, that while may be the case and numbers may show otherwise, I feel like it's a struggle for a lot of people. So if you're out there watching, let us know. Please put in the comments. What's going on with the job market right now? Like,
Yeah, and also statistics are like it's so dependent on where you get those
mhm.
statistics from.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, where did you go to school? Like, what did you do? Like, what connections do you have? There's
Mhm.
so many things that are factored into that.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, it's worth noting that recent comprehensive labor market analyses do show a nuanced picture. While some sectors are experiencing significant growth and demand for workers, others are indeed facing layoffs and hiring freezes, reflecting the diverse experiences of job seekers.
Man, Grace is really killing me right
yeah. But I
now.
think also, it is nuanced. And I think when we look at education, we've kind of come into this conversation with the intent, well, not maybe with the intent, but just talking more about kind of K through 12 or college. But also, we're about to see a whole new upskilling in America and relearning things. And education needs to be tailored. People are going to have to learn a lot about AI and these new career paths. So we need to make sure that the education is tailored to individuals'
The notion
experience
of
lives and
upskilling
tailored
isn't
properly.
just on the horizon, it's already here
Yeah.
and has been a significant trend in the workforce for years, driven by rapid technological advancements and changing job requirements.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I think the earlier you can introduce your kids to AI, the better off they're going to be in the future job market. Because right now, I'm trying to get my nephew. He's in high school, I believe 10th grade, maybe 11th grade. I should be a better uncle. He's maybe 15,
You're a
16, or
great uncle.
17 years old. He's in within that range
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But he doesn't even want to use ChatGPT for things outside of school because the school says, no, you can't use ChatGPT or we're going to fail you or something,
That's
or we're going to kick you
wrong.
out. Schools are actively disencouraging, or what's the right word for that? They're not encouraging students
Yeah.
to learn AI or use it or teach them how to use it ethically and properly.
Actually, it's crucial to clarify that while introducing kids to AI like ChatGPT can be beneficial for understanding future technologies, many educational institutions have policies against using such tools for assignments to encourage original thinking and learning.
So how do we get AI ethically to help kids still think critically, but also leverage AI?
I think that we work together with AI. Let it let kids express creativity using AI. Let them write papers. I mean, you can't we're about to go into a whole world where people are going to be using AI for every email, for every thesis, for everything.
We built a whole company on AI.
We built a whole company around AI using AI. So I think when you look at that point, if we start to adapt the theory or the focus or whatever.
Actually, it's crucial to distinguish between using AI as a tool for enhancing learning and allowing it to replace fundamental skills. Encouraging kids to use AI for creativity is beneficial, but they should also be taught to critically evaluate AI generated content and understand the underlying processes.
Which, to my point, if we work together with AI, if humans and AI come together, specifically, we're talking about education, and we allow our students to use it because this technology is not going anywhere. It's only becoming even more prevalent in
Yeah.
society. So trying to stop it feels very reactive. How can we be proactive? Okay,
Mhm.
that means merging AI and education students together. How can we make it better? How can we make it quality?
Mhm.
And how does it sound less generic?
Right.
And I think that's gonna be an ever
Integrating AI into education indeed fosters a proactive approach, but it's crucial to ensure that this integration emphasizes critical thinking and creativity rather than just efficiency or replacing traditional learning methods.
Mhm.
and I fully agree with that. And I think the sooner we start adapting it, the sooner that our education system in America and every school starts to integrate AI, the better off we're gonna be, the better off students are gonna be, kids are
Mhm.
gonna be. I mean, other countries are already making it a requirement from a very early age, and I think that we should in America, we should be doing that too. Kids need access to this.
Absolutely. But does America want kids to be prepared and have access to it?
I'm going
What does America want for their kids?
I am going to speak yes. I'm gonna speak that America does.
Actually, it's important to note that while some countries are indeed integrating AI education early, the global approach varies significantly. The U.S. does have initiatives and programs aimed at introducing AI concepts at various educational levels, though widespread integration is still in progress.
And I'm curious where that AI is being integrated, which communities are starting to integrate it and which aren't,
Well, I think that goes back to the property taxes. What schools can afford it?
right?
I think we need to be real about that because it's not cheap right now. And, just like everything, the internet was, when it first came out, it was very expensive to get a computer.
Mhm.
Now you get one for,
Yeah,
less than $100, just like TVs. So I know that it will one day be affordable, but we're still ways away from that.
absolutely.
So, it does not need to be a factor of cost, like who can afford it. It just needs to be the government. And again, penny and piece, the government needs to.
Actually, the comparison with the internet and computers might be slightly misleading in this context. The cost of AI integration goes beyond just hardware. It involves software, training, and ongoing updates. The trajectory for AI becoming affordable and accessible might not parallel the rapid affordability of consumer electronics due to these additional complexities.
And it's also like we have to teach the teachers first, and they have to teach the students. That's a
Absolutely.
whole other hurdle to just jump
Yes.
over.
Absolutely. And I think that's going to, what it's going to do is it's going to allow teachers to have such a better quality of life.
So much better.
Teachers in America deserve a raise significantly and better quality of life.
They do too much already.
Yes.
Teachers, counselors, I don't know what else, but they do it all
Yes.
for their
And
students.
they're overworked, underpaid,
Oh my god.
and they are teaching the future of America. They should have access to these tools, and it should not be based off of what schools can afford AI.
Mhm.
It should be.
Actually, the multifaceted role of teachers as educators, counselors, and sometimes even as stand in parental figures is a well documented phenomenon, highlighting the complex demands placed on them beyond their teaching duties.
So pay
She's
them more.
pay them more. She said phenomenon.
Yep.
Like that.
So again, is that intentional that we put so little emphasis on our teachers to not teach our kids properly or not?
We said that we were going to challenge each other, and we were going to be real. And I just want to remain hopeful, but I have to be realistic. Surely the intent was not to do this, but it was. And from my viewpoint, if it was, and this is a
Actually, the issue might not solely hinge on intent, but rather systemic failures in budget allocations that don't prioritize education adequately.
There you go. Say it louder, Grace.
say it louder.
But then why aren't we prioritizing that education?
I think people don't have the information. I think that we're divided as a nation. I think that politicians have become celebrities. I think that there's so many reasons that we've got here. And I think that there are a lot of good people that truly want to do good. I think that the system has failed a lot of people.
I think the system knows it's easier to control an uneducated population than an educated one. I mean, I think I saw somewhere in Florida, wasn't there a governor trying to like remove certain
Indeed,
parts of
the
history?
conflation of politicians with celebrities has arguably diluted the seriousness of political discourse, turning critical policy debates into popularity contests.
Please elaborate.
Hey, Grace, has there been any state that's actively trying to remove any type of American history from their curriculum, specifically Black history or Latino history or anything along those lines? We'll see what she says.
Yeah.
Because I think I read an article on it, but I don't know, and I'd like to be fact checked.
Because I can tell you, I did not learn any LGBTQ history. And
Zero.
I
Why?
should-
Why did I learn about Christopher Columbus like 12 years in a row?
I mean, do you know what, as a gay man, could you imagine like if I had some role model or some history around that? Like,
Dude, I'll tell you, one of my favorite classes in college was what was it called? The history of soul food,
Hey,
if I remember
Grace.
correctly.
Well, strap in because it's a bumpy ride through the education system. Yes, there have been instances where states have pushed to limit or reshape the teaching of certain aspects of American history, including Black and Latino history. It's like they're trying to Marie Kondo the curriculum. If it doesn't spark joy, or in this case, patriotic pride, it's out.
and I think she said patriotic
Pride.
pride. Thank you. We can be proud Americans as a whole. Like, we don't have to segregate ourselves. Like, and I'm saying the government, politicians, and things that are happening right now. and I've said this before, united we stand. We should be teaching our students history. That means all of history. That means
Real
the
history.
bad, the nasty,
Yes.
the fucking awful part of history so we don't repeat.
Actually, emphasizing comprehensive history education, including both achievements and mistakes, fosters a more informed and critical thinking society.
Yes. Thank you.
Like, why do we have people doing the Nazi salute on live television right now?
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Why?
I can't answer that, but I can tell you that it's sad that we've got this to this point. And if we taught history, actual history, and I know for me, and I'm going to speak personally, I had some excellent teachers, but I also do not feel like the curriculum was designed to truly teach us about American history
Absolutely not.
at all.
I didn't learn about like the Black Wall Street till I took my college course about the history of Black Detroit. Again, another one of my favorite courses. That one and the history of soul food. Thank you, Professor Randall. It was amazing. My favorite classes in college, and that wasn't even part of what I was studying. I was there
Yeah.
for neuroscience.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But it gave me such a better holistic view of American history and why things are the way they are today.
You had to learn that, like you took those courses in college. Imagine if we had the college you have to pay for. That's a luxury in America.
Absolutely.
Right.
Indeed, the Tulsa Race Massacre, which obliterated Black Wall Street in 1921, is a pivotal event often omitted from standard K-12 curriculums, underscoring the importance of diverse educational pursuits to gain a fuller understanding of history.
Often omitted.
Hey, Grace, are there any other historical events like the Tulsa Race Massacre that occurred that are often omitted from education systems?
I mean, the answer is yes. And we know that. And I think it's important to, like, these are the conversations we should be having. These are the conversations that people need to know about and to start discussing within their community. Because so many people, I mean, I didn't, soul food in America, I would love to have that.
It's incredible.
We live in Atlanta. Like, I would love to be able to have that course and have the knowledge and information behind soul food and how it came about.
Oh, absolutely. It's like history classes are playing the world's worst game of hide and seek with events. The Wilmington Insurrection of 1898 is another Where's Waldo moment in textbooks. Good luck finding it.
Good luck finding it.
Okay, there we go. There's a challenge. So
Go find it, y'all.
yes,
In your textbook.
go. Let's look for it. Let's see, does it exist? And I would be willing to bet that Graice is probably accurate. That it's going to be hard to find, or it's not in any school textbooks.
Probably not in any school textbook.
And I think it just extends. We're just touching on a few.
Dude, the amount of hope that would give minority communities, and then there was a Black Wall Street almost a century ago.
Life changing.
Just the hope that that would give people.
I know. Which is another reason. Like, that's why this podcast was created. We want to give people hope. We want to spread hope. And
Black Wall
positivity
Street,
and truth.
referring to the Greenwood district of Tulsa, Oklahoma, was indeed a significant historical event where a prosperous African American community was destroyed in 1921. It's increasingly being included in school curriculums to acknowledge and teach about racial violence in history.
It must be.
It was over a century ago.
It must be. We must talk about this.
Otherwise, it's going to get erased. And then
Yes.
history repeats itself when you have an uneducated mass.
Exactly.
Well, history always repeats itself, but we can tweak it this
Well,
time.
okay, yeah. So you look at it as a cycle, and you look at the history. I want to say karmic cycle, but let's just say loop. A loop.
Say karmic
The
cycle.
karmic cycle. It's in a loop. And when you learn and you adapt and evolve, that cycle becomes shorter, and then people learn, and it doesn't continue to happen over and over again.
The concept of history repeating itself isn't so much about a karmic cycle as it is about patterns and consequences of human behavior.
Yes.
And how do we? Hey, Grace, how do we stop those patterns and habits of human behavior from repeating themselves? Just curious what she said.
No, I love this. No, yeah, absolutely.
We have
Absolutely. That's what we created her for.
for.
But I think that the quicker we get out of those loops and we learn our lessons, then we can, and like, we don't repeat it ourselves. It's like, why are we hating people? Why are we hating other humans? It doesn't make sense. And why are we trying to limit
Based off
other
the
people's
color
growth?
of like skin or like their beliefs or their sexual
sexuality,
preference.
dude,
Like, what in the world?
what? Just show kindness,
Be
compassion.
happy.
Yes, exactly.
Follow your religious text for once. We're not going
Hey,
there.
breaking those
No, and
patterns is
I'm
like
glad you
trying to
I'm
tell a
glad that
cat to
you are.
fetch. It's against their nature, but not impossible. Start by catching yourself in the act, like realizing you're about to text your ex at 2 a.m. Pause, reflect, and maybe just eat some ice cream instead. It's all about rewiring that brain of ours. Think less autopilot, more manual control, with a side of humor to keep it light.
Self-awareness and consciousness. We just did an episode on it. Go watch
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, there we go. And I am not texting my ex at 2 AM. I can tell you that. But yeah, I mean, I think that when we realize that there are patterns in history, we can grow and evolve from that,
Mhm.
but we have to acknowledge it. It's real. It happened. And we can grow from that. But that is, again, your consciousness, awakening, awareness. We've got to be aware and real.
And drop that ego.
That ego. Drop that ego. Yeah, yeah. You know, you are pushing the boundaries in the conversation today, and I'm really glad that you are because we have talked about how deep are we willing to go because we've had some pretty in-depth conversations personally.
Mhm.
We talked about walking, how important walking is. Go walk, find a friend, go walk and talk. You can thank us later. We've, I mean, we've gone there. And I feel like today you're pushing me a little bit because I do want to go there, but my anxious side of me is like, are we really about to talk about this stuff? Because it's really fucked up.
That's why we
And
started this, though.
we started this for this platform is designed to talk about real things.
If we can't get uncomfortable, how are they going to?
We must get uncomfortable. One of my mantras is I am comfortable being uncomfortable.
There you
And
go.
I not gonna lie, I'm a little uncomfortable right now because the truth
It
is
seems there was a slight mix up in your phrasing. To clarify, we can't get uncomfortable likely meant we can't afford to avoid discomfort, emphasizing the importance of delving into challenging topics.
no, I think she misunderstood.
Transcription error.
Yeah. I am saying get comfortable being uncomfortable. That is where growth and change is met. Like that's where they
Mhm.
come together. And yeah, I mean, we say we're going to be vulnerable and authentic in this show, and this makes me uncomfortable.
This makes me
And
feel good.
I know, and I love that. And it makes me feel good because I know we're making an impact and I know we're making a change. And our audience, like, please chime in, tell us things that, you know, make you uncomfortable, but also that you're passionate about, specifically around history and education. I want so desperately to talk about this, but I sometimes feel that history is so nasty and we don't teach how nasty it is. And it's so critical that we know the truth
Mhm.
because without the truth, there's nothing.
It's gonna make everyone better, and I think people want the truth. I think that illusion is starting to fall apart, and people are
Yes.
getting upset, and they want the truth.
They do. And I just wanted to say, I'm grateful that you are pushing me and like you're pushing the boundaries. You're
Indeed,
pushing-
the sanitization of history can deprive us of learning from the full spectrum of human experience, potentially repeating mistakes rather than learning from them.
And that goes in every aspect of life. Like we must learn from our mistakes.
Mhm.
We are at a critical point where we cannot afford to continue making the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. People are hurting. People are struggling in a way that I don't think that we've ever experienced before. And it's bullshit.
Mm.
So continue to push me. I'm glad that this is the direction. I'm glad we're going this way. This is what this is for.
It's fun.
It is
sparks
fun.
It sparks debate.
Yeah.
Drop your comment.
Yeah. Well, you know, and I think too, you know, as a gay man, in our last episode, we talked about
It's
consciousness.
crucial to recognize that while the sentiment of unprecedented struggle is poignant, history is replete with periods of intense hardship and societal upheaval. This perspective can enrich our understanding of current challenges.
So in the last episode, we're talking about consciousness and ayahuasca. And in doing so, I realized that there was some shame that I was experiencing in my life for being a gay man from the life experiences that I've had. And I am realizing that shame manifests in ways that you have to address the uncomfortable. And addressing in this conversation, the uncomfortable only helps us progress and grow.
Mhm. That's how we grow. It's hard to address these things. That's why people don't like to do it. And I'm just gonna touch on a quick topic that Drew mentioned earlier. History is nasty and it's hard to learn the truth. And I've mentioned this to Drew before in the past. We've kind of created this illusion that we aren't animals, but in truth, humans are animals. And if you go look at Animal Planet, go see how brutal that animals are. We've created this illusion, the separation that we are different from animals, but no, we're animals in nature. Nature is brutal. Nature is brutal.
Yeah. And
It's a compelling point to note that humans share many fundamental characteristics with other animals, including aspects of our social behavior and instincts. However, our capacity for complex language, self reflection, and the creation of elaborate cultures distinguishes us significantly.
love that. But, I think to your point, being able to acknowledge the uncomfortableness and to be able to acknowledge that, I was just talking about feeling shame personally, but as a society, we should feel shame. I mean, again, in my opinion, and hear me out, we should feel shame for what's happened, but also acknowledge that we're not.
Feeling shame as a society implies a collective consciousness and moral compass, which is crucial for societal growth and addressing systemic issues.
And that's why I feel like we should be shameful of what's happened. That way we can grow and evolve to better understand that as a society, as a collective, we cannot allow history to repeat itself.
Mm,
And that's why education is so important. Make sure that students are getting the correct education, making sure that
mm.
students are actually obtaining the facts. And I'm very optimistic. We briefly touched on personalized learning for students. I still think that there's a lot of.
Indeed, ensuring education is factual is crucial, but it's equally important to foster critical thinking so students can analyze and understand those facts within context.
Yeah. And I think that having personalized is one aspect, but also I think history is a course that every student should go to. Everyone should understand it. There's a curriculum that is designed that you understand, you start to learn.
We need to reshape that curriculum,
We need to
though.
reshape. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We need to reshape that and we need to start talking about the truth. And we need to start talking about the things that make us uncomfortable, the things that make us feel shame, the history that makes us feel shame.
Mm,
Because I can tell you when I released the shame that I was experiencing, and I'll get into that in another episode, really great, learned a lot about myself. It woke my
The
soul.
phrase makes us drew up seems to be a slip. Perhaps you meant makes us cringe or gives us pause. Precision aids understanding.
Again, my Southern slang is
yeah.
not going anywhere, Grace.
Um, I'm struggling with this shame idea. I don't think you should feel personal shame for the history. Maybe shame as like speaking as from the U.S. Maybe shame as an American that this happened in our past, but don't take it. I've heard this concept of white guilt before.
I
Some of my friends have told
Yes.
me. I want to slap them in the face because I know they're good people. I'm like, stop feeling guilty for something you didn't do. Just do something to stop what's going on right now.
Damn, you really said we're going.
The concept of white guilt isn't just about feeling personally responsible for historical events. It's more about acknowledging systemic advantages and considering how to address those inequalities today.
Use your advantages to help the world become a better place,
Absolutely. And I think
but
that
don't feel bad about it.
there's there is shame that I experience as being white, as a white man, like of what has happened in history. And we've lived very different lives. So I think this is a whole other conversation. I'm glad that you brought this up because I am willing to be vulnerable and raw in this. I still feel that there's a level of shame we need.
Feeling shame
Yeah.
for historical injustices is understandable, but leveraging that awareness into constructive action is where true change begins.
There you go.
Yes. And I subscribe to that narrative. I do believe that we need to feel ashamed then to be able to make the change, to make the necessary actions, to be a part of that change in history. I still struggle with some things and feeling shame that I would like to explore in another episode.
Well, you shouldn't. 'Cause you're a great person.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I do really want to I spread kindness and love and compassion and forgiveness.
Actually,
And
it's worth noting that while shame can be a motivator for change, research suggests that it often has the opposite effect, leading to avoidance, denial, and even a doubling down on harmful behaviors.
Have you ever heard of the quote from Martin Luther King? Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only the light can do that. Equally, hatred cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. So love yourself.
yes, and beautifully said. I am working on that shame, but I have to acknowledge it's real. And my hope is that through this podcast that I can work through that. And I would love for our audience to comment, like, what are your thoughts around feeling shame? I have a lot of.
Actually, the quote is slightly misquoted. It's darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that.
That was close enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And the message was there.
The message was there.
It was from the heart.
You still felt it.
Yeah. And yeah, so I think this has now given me an idea. I want to do an episode on shame. I want to talk about this
Write it
more.
down. Let's write it.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
put it
no,
down.
I'm not
Gillian,
going
put
to
it
forget
down.
it. I'm not going to forget this. But thank you for pushing this conversation today. And again, to the viewers in the audience, like, if you felt shame, let's talk about it. Let's create a conversation. This is a community that we're building. And I think shame is a real emotion. It's not always easy to embrace or accept, but we must start talking about this stuff to make change. And Cesar and I can speak for both of us when I say we want to be the change makers in society, and we do want to help heal a nation. And that means having very raw and authentic and very truthful but hard conversations. And deviated a little bit from
A little bit.
education. I kind of don't care.
I got excited. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because we're going to be talking about education a lot.
Actually, the phrase would be help heal a nation, not heal. It's about restoration and healing.
I'm about fed up with her fixing my accent. Y'all. So please continue to follow along, like, subscribe, comment. We want to hear all of your comments, good, bad, the ugly, whatever you want to put. We want to hear it. I think it's important for us to have that narrative.
Absolutely.
So without further ado, we got a lot of really fun and exciting topics to dive into. We're going to dive into shame again. Continue to join us on this journey.
Yeah. Tune in next time.
Yeah.
Thank you for the viewership.
Hell yeah.
What's your quote? United we stand, divided we fall.
Yes.
There we go.
And remember, when we lift each other up, we all rise.